everyone, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to Artist Analysis. I've analyzed two of my favorite artists so far, a country band and a pop singer. So for my third installment, I'm going to break down my favorite alternative artist, Imagine Dragons. Just like I did with Little Big Town and Pink, I'm going to discuss ID's origins, no pun intended, what kind of music they made, and how it's evolved. Again, no pun intended. In the comments below, let me know who your favorite artists are, and I guarantee I will analyze them at some point. Now let's get started! In 2008, Imagine Dragons lead singer Dan Reynolds met drummer Andrew Tolman while they were studying at Brigham Young University in Provo, Utah. From there, the pair recruited lead guitarist Andrew Beck, bass player Dave Lemke, and keyboardist Aurora Florence. The band members then came up with a band name that is an anagram that the band has made a vow to never reveal to the public. Within the next year, after releasing a 5-piece extended play entitled Speak to Me, Beck and Florence left Imagine Dragons, and they would be replaced by Tolman's high school friend Wayne Sermon and his wife Brittany Tolman, respectively. When Lemke left the band, Berkeley music student Ben McKee would take over as ID's bassist. Once the band was formed, they moved to Reynolds' hometown of Las Vegas, Nevada, to record their first few extended plays. Said EPs would get them a record deal with Interscope Records by the end of 2011. Making it big, the Tolmans left the group, and McKee recruited Daniel Platzman and Teresa Flaminio to take their respective places before signing the record deal with Interscope in November 2011, only for Flaminio herself to resign from the band before they released their first studio album, leaving ID as a foursome. After several EPs, Imagine Dragons was finally able to release their debut studio album, Night Visions, doing so on September 4th, 2012. Alex da Kid and Brandon Darner of the Envy Corps helped ID produce this album. Night Visions debuted at number 2 on the Billboard 200 albums chart and was certified double platinum by the RIAA. That's a pretty big accomplishment for any album, let alone a debut album. At the time of Night Visions' release, It's Time, which had previously appeared on their major label debut EP, Continued Silence, had been out for 6 months and had become quite popular. In addition to the major success of this album as a whole, It's Time peaked at number 15 on the Billboard Hot 100 and number 4 on the alternative airplay chart. In the lyrics of It's Time, the narrator resists change in the face of great turmoil. Radioactive, another track off of Continued Silence, would become the title track of Night Visions and released to the radio on October 29th, 2012. This alternative rock song also fuses elements of dubstep in its music. The song was a sleeper hit, debuting at number 87, but after a relatively long time, finally reaching number 3 on the Billboard Hot 100, and at one point even being certified diamond by the RIAA. This made Radioactive the slowest rising song in the Billboard Hot 100's history. Frontman Dan Reynolds himself revealed that the lyrics are about his struggles with addiction, anxiety, and questioning of the Mormon faith in which he was raised. Around a month later, ID released a Night Vision single that isn't as well known today as the first two I discussed. The single, which came from the EP Hell and Silence, was entitled Hear Me in a remastered version. Although It's Time was Night Vision's lead single in its native US, the song wasn't released in the UK or Ireland until August 2013, so Hear Me was the album's lead single there. As its title implies, the song's narrator feels that they are not being heard or listened to, and it is extremely frustrating for them. The single was certified gold by the RIAA, but didn't make it onto the Billboard Hot 100, though it did reach number 37 on the UK singles chart. ID's next single, Demons, which came from their EP Continued Silence, was released on January 28, 2013. The title refers to the demons, or serious flaws the speaker has, of which they are trying to warn the addressee. Demons was the second single after Radioactive to make it into the top 10, peaking at number 6 after being certified diamond by the RIAA. The fifth and final single from Night Visions, On Top of the World, also came from the Continued Silence EP. The lyrics of On Top of the World celebrate the success of Imagine Dragons after years of struggle as a musical artist. The single only made it to 79 on the Billboard Hot 100, so no wonder it's not as well known as other singles from Night Visions, but it probably would have been worse had the single not been certified platinum by the RIAA. Just like they did with their first studio album, Imagine Dragons self-produced Smoke Plus Mirrors with help from Alex da Kid at their home studio in Las Vegas. The album debuted at number 1 on the Billboard 200 Albums chart and was certified gold by the RIAA, which is quite fitting since one of the songs on this album is entitled Gold. Of the 3 singles from Smoke Plus Mirrors, the lead single, I Bet My Life, is the best known. The song was first publicly performed at the 2014 American Music Awards, at which the band won the award for Favorite Alternative Artist. After being released to the radio, the single peaked at number 28 on the Billboard Hot 100 and was certified double platinum by the RIAA. Dan Reynolds wrote the song as an open letter to his parents, with whom he's always had a strained relationship, but still claimed to have a bond worth celebrating. As I've already mentioned, the next single from Smoke Plus Mirrors shares a name with the certification its album received from the RIAA, though this most certainly was not on purpose. The lyrics, which make an indirect reference to the Greek myth of King Midas, touch on the struggles ID's lead singer Dan Reynolds has had with clinical depression, just like the Smoke Plus Mirrors tracks Hopeless Opus and I'm So Sorry. The next single from this album, Shots, is also quite dark in lyrical content, despite Reynolds' light, 80s style vocals on it, to which Wayne Sermon's guitar adds an extra layer. With Imagine Dragons' third studio album, which they released after a hiatus they took after a 10-month world tour following the release of Smoke Plus Mirrors, they started to stray away from the dark, alternative rock undertones of Night Visions and Smoke Plus Mirrors and took on more of a peppy, hopeful, alt-pop, lyrical, and musical persona. The album's name refers to what ID frontman Dan Reynolds called an evolution for the band he felt had taken place since their debut album. Evolve peaked at number 2 on the Billboard 200 Albums chart and was nominated for Best Pop Vocal Album at the 60th Annual Grammy Awards. Evolve's first single, Believer, was released on February 1st, 2017, and peaked at number 4 on the Billboard Hot 100, making Believer the first ID single to reach the top 10 after Radioactive and Demons, which both came from ID's debut album. Its lyrical content is mostly about Dan Reynolds' struggles with ankylosing spondylitis, but also a variety of other underlying struggles he was dealing with at the time, such as depression, anxiety, the stress of being a musical artist, and pain that was emotional in addition to physical. In late April 2017 came Evolve's second single, Thunder. Just like its preceding single, Thunder peaked at number 4 on the Billboard Hot 100, making it the 4th ID song to make it into the top 10. This song is distinguishable from most of ID's other music, as its music and lyrical content have more of a catchy, poppy feel to it. Shortly after Thunder came the third single off of this album, Whatever It Takes. As its title implies, the song's lyrics are about determination in a tough situation. It was originally released as a mere promotional single, but eventually became part of Evolve on October 6, 2017. It eventually became the official theme for WWE's PPV event, Battleground. Unlike the first two singles off of Evolve, Whatever It Takes only made it to number 12 on the Billboard Hot 100, though it was certified double platinum by the RIAA. The fourth and final single off of this album, Next to Me, isn't quite as well known as the first three. The song was quite fittingly referred to by the members of ID as their first love song. The song didn't make it onto the Billboard Hot 100, but was certified gold by the RIAA. ID's fourth studio album, Origins, is what Dan Reynolds described as a sister album to Evolve, expanding on themes touched on in Evolve's lyrical content. The release of Origins at the end of 2018 was preceded by the respective releases of 4 of its 5 singles. The 5th of said singles was released in 2019. Origins' lead single, Natural, was released by Interscope Records on July 17, 2018. Natural served as the anthem of the 2018 college football season on ESPN. Just like Believer, Natural is about standing up to both the people and situations that seem to be making things impossible. In Dan Reynolds' case, this involved mental illness, addiction, ankylosing spondylitis, and autoimmune disorders. The best way to describe the song itself is, quote-unquote, a mix of explosive drums and inspiring lyrics with stadium-rocking instrumentation over the chorus. The single peaked at number 13 on the Billboard Hot 100, but in my opinion, the song deserved to rank much higher. Luckily, this was made up for with a certification of quadruple platinum by the RIAA. Imagine Dragons wrote their second Origins single, Zero, with help from their producer, John Hill. It was featured in the Disney film Ralph Breaks the Internet. This was quite fitting, given that the song's lyrics are about feelings of low self-esteem and struggling with self-confidence, just like the main character of that movie. The third single off of Origins was Machine, which is my personal favorite off of the album, and was written by the band with help from Alex da Kid, who'd helped them so much throughout their career. The song is essentially about breaking out of the box that many often feel forced into, making indirect references to a variety of political and social issues. The fourth single off of Origins, Bad Liar, was released on November 6, 2018. In its native US, Bad Liar only made it to number 56 on the Billboard Hot 100, but did make it into the 10s and 20s in similar charts throughout Europe. While Dan Reynolds and his wife Aja Volkman were writing this song, they were in the process of separating, but did not end up going through with the divorce. Their thoughts of separating provided the inspiration for the song's lyrics, leading to what's been described as a brutally honest breakup song. After Origins, it took Imagine Dragons 3 years to release another studio album, which they would title Mercury Act 1, and it would be produced by Rick Rubin. As Dan Reynolds himself put it, the album has 2 different sides to it. One organic and looking inward, and the other aggressive and looking outward. The album's title refers to the supposed fluidity of ID's music over the years, and the album's producer, Rubin, encouraged the band to step out of their comfort zones and not use metaphors and euphemisms for the lyrical content of this album like they have in the past. Mercury Act 1 actually has 2 lead singles, Follow You and Cutthroat, which were both released on March 12, 2021, with the latter essentially being on the B side of the former. Just like Bad Liar, Follow You was inspired by Reynolds' relationship with his wife, Aja Volkman, and is essentially about how their relationship has not been perfect, but is one that can and has thrived. Follow You peaked at number 68 on the Billboard Hot 100 and has reached number 1 on Billboard magazine's alternative airplay chart, just like their previous songs Believer and Natural had. The next single off of Mercury Act 1, Wrecked, was written by the band members themselves and actually produced by ID drummer Daniel Platzman. The song's lyrics were inspired by the recent death of Reynolds' sister-in-law, Alicia Durchie Reynolds, of cancer, and the grief it caused both Dan and his brother. But this sad, beautiful, underrated song did not make it onto the Billboard Hot 100 or receive any certifications from the RIAA like it should have. Moving on, for their next single, Enemy, ID included American rapper J.I.D. on the recording of the song. As Reynolds explained himself, Enemy is about dealing with internal conflict in a world where it feels like you can't even trust yourself. The song is probably best known for its inclusion on the animated Netflix series Arcane, in which two sisters' lives take them on different paths, and the division threatens an entire city. The song peaked at number 5 on the Billboard Hot 100, the highest an ID single had in quite a while. As the album's name implies, Mercury Act 1 has a sequel called Mercury Act 2, which is set to be released on July 1st, 2022. In fact, one of its singles, Bones, was recently released on March 11th. After 10 years in the music industry, Imagine Dragons has made some pretty unforgettable music and made themselves a pretty big staple in the alt-pop genre. Some say that ID's best days are behind them, while others think they're still going strong and won't be fading away anytime soon. What do you think? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you like hearing about musical artists, add my artist analysis playlist to your YouTube list. And if you haven't already, hit that red subscribe button and tap the bell so you know when I'm ready to talk about another artist. I can't tell you who my next one will be, but I'll give you a hint. He's a contemporary artist with a pretty big presence in the country music industry. Hope to see you then. Bye!